Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And Seattle Surge's new recruit Sib responding to some of the haters as he describes it in a video the CDL released last night. But also, lots of talk about the potential of where Cammy might have gone this past offseason. OpTic apparently were pretty interested, maybe before this merger went down. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, hitting the like button is the best thing you can do to help this channel reach more people. And please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Bottom right hand corner, big red button. You guys know the drill. Let's dive into this then, as DeSoto say with Halloween on the horizon. Who's the best trash talker Call of Duty villain in history? Not even sure how Scum is the consideration here. Aix is it's no-brainer, to be honest. Like, if you've been around Call of Duty for a few years, Aix is for sure the best villain. Crimsix is kind of coming into his own nowadays in terms of like longevity, but also taken over kind of some of the things that Paddy P used to do back in the day. But Aix, no doubt, if OpTic, when they played up against Aix, you just knew something crazy was going to happen. He got it done every single time. Definitely, my money is on Aix, but if you're a newer fan, maybe it will go somewhere differently. This also from Breaking Point, the two players that were released yesterday as being in the top 20. Number 18 goes to the Human Turret, that being Sabloroo. Impossible not to call this guy the Human Turret when he's on main stage, but finally going to be off Seattle Surge this year. So excited to see what he can do on of course, a different roster. But as you can see, I mean, this is the overall stats. What I find really interesting about this actually is this kind of ranking breakdown that you guys can see here up in the top right-hand side, with kind of media and content giving him about 18, 20. But the coaches that voted on this, I'm pretty sure Austin or that aBeZy went on to say that there was like 50 plus votes in this. So there was quite a few coaches from the Pro League that voted, and they on average put him at about 26. So a lot of the coaches didn't really rate Octane at all in terms of what he did this season, but maybe by the fans he was slightly higher rated, which definitely makes sense based on the stats. But as you can see, some highlighted stuff right here. S&D KD on LAN, like his LAN KD was insane towards the end of the year. You could argue because he was kind of farming wins against London and Paris, but still, he was clearly much better on LAN. Obviously a solid season for him, but he's hoping for more going forwards. This also then number 17 goes to Clayster. I think as the season started off, Clay would have been considered top 10, even top 5 maybe during stage 1, stage 2, but then obviously things kind of went wrong, especially towards the end of the year when the team went into chaos. But at least he had some decent results, right? Third, second. If you look at Octane, if you look at these placings, it's pretty tragic, to be honest. But yeah, like Clayster, some good placings, and towards the end of the year wasn't so ideal, but I think certainly Clayster still deserves a spot here somewhere, all things considered. Holding the record even for the amount of kills in control at 43. Pretty impressive, and well, once again, another player that wants to have kind of a bounce back year after a tumultuous time, let's just say, on New York last year. Speaking of Clayster, Black Ops 2 tourney on Saturday, we talked about slightly earlier today. The final boss, maybe Clay and the boys will get the old gang back together to try and, run up and win their share of that $15,000, even though it's probably a charity thing once again, to be honest. But definitely keep your eyes peeled up for this as it progresses in the future. This then from Seattle Surge last night. It's all coming together. Go inside our roster mania with the Call of Duty League and see how we got our squad for CDL 2022. So, of course, this is going to be their squad. Accuracy, Sib, Mack, and Pred coming into the team. It's a very exciting one, to be honest, that has a lot of potential. I don't think they're going to be fantastic off the rip, but down the line, there's a lot of young guys here with a real potential to be absolute stars. Sib, people have been talking about for a very long time. Mack, we know what he can do. Pred is seemingly one of the next superstar SMGs. Brought all together by accuracy. The team makes a lot of sense, but it's certainly not considered to be one of the top dogs straight off the rip. But I quite like what Seattle are doing here. But anyway, the CDL and like Maven and Merc, they're kind of breaking down the roster and the formation of it. And there was a pretty interesting clip that came out from Sib where they were kind of saying, look, I mean, the attitude problems that have kind of been discussed the last couple of years, and Sib's response is kind of interesting, kind of saying that like he has haters in the same way that LeBron and Brady have haters, but people might not necessarily agree with that assessment.
Looking at Sib on the Seattle Surge lineup, I think it raises a lot of questions because there's this question of ego, attitude. I don't know exactly what you want to call it.
I've heard, I don't know, some issues of maybe immaturity, anger.
Pizza scoreboard, pizza scoreboard. Hey, Sib on top.
Hey, yo, money! I ain't playing no games out here. Step it up. You heard me?
I don't honestly, like, I don't really pay attention to it. I could care less. The legends have a bunch of haters. LeBron has a bunch of haters. Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant, they all had haters. So I think that's just something that comes with being talented or just being really good at what you do.
So Simp was getting completely roasted for this on the Reddit. I've never seen a Reddit thread go so hard on one individual. Like every comment was basically kind of the same way, which I kind of get, right? And the thing is, like, look, at the end of the day, it's good to have characters like Sib in the scene because we know that one day, like Scum, Crimsix, Karma, of course already moved on, Formula already moved on, Clayster, these guys, they're going to move on at some point, and like we need to have like a next breed of characters in the scene that are pretty entertaining. Like people are going to certainly be watching what what Sib is up to right here, because people would certainly say, and probably rightly so, that it's not that people are kind of hating on Sib because of his success and his accolades and kind of like the LeBron Brady stuff. It's more because of his attitude and his maturity and his, just stuff like this that doesn't necessarily rub people the correct way, which, I don't know. If this guy, like, learned to have a PR person, I think things would go a lot better. People say, like, he's different behind the scenes than he is on camera, and I think he's a very divisive person in the community, because a lot of people are hoping that he comes out this year and gets absolutely fried, but if he does actually smoke people, then it's going to be an exciting storyline, right? He could be a kind of new villain in the scene that is definitely rubbing people up the wrong way right now. But I mean, yeah, if Seattle and Accuracy and like the coaching staff over there, Phoenix and Nova's, of course, their general manager, can get the best out of Sib. I think he's got a lot of talent, but yeah, definitely every single time he seems to be part of one of these videos or like gets in this type of situation, it doesn't always end up too well for him. But as I say, characters in the scene is probably a positive thing regardless, but I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts down below. Let's talk about this then, right from Cammy MVP. This was one of my favorite clips, I think, of the entire Call of Duty League season. The ace that Cammy got on this raid, search and destroy. I mean, look at this 4-piece. Gets 1, gets 2, gets 3, and then snaps onto the 4th, completely peels Arcitys off this head glitch. And I mean, there was a fair few clips that came out from Cammy this year, especially towards the end, where he was absolutely dominant. We saw a couple of times during the season, for example, that Crimsix was saying that he was very keen to actually get Cammy, or at least potentially play with him in future years, like really rated Cammy, and said he was like one of the best players in the game, and certainly the best player on Ultra, if not, well, one of the best players in the entire game. And certainly towards the end of the year, people were considering Cammy to be, like a top 3 player probably. And well, totally understandably so. Therefore, it's not really a surprise. A lot of people were considering his services to get him onto another organization. We saw this from Clayster that came out. I mean, we saw this from Dashy 2020 when it's his Cammy MVP, you absolute unit. And it's very possible these two could have actually teamed up on the OpTic team for this upcoming season. Of course, hasn't worked out. They were going to get their roster, as we imagine, to be shot to Elite, Scump and Dashy, but Cammy could have been there if things went differently. This is what Clayster has to say, the fact that New York were considering players that were actually signed to other organizations, or like, well, not necessarily signed, but pretty much they were going to re-sign, but they were still talking to them anyway. And Cammy, despite potentially re-signing in the middle of the year, was talking to OpTic, and OpTic were apparently pretty keen to get him involved.
Dude, yeah, we talked to Sib, we talked to John, we talked to anybody that you could, really think that we should have talked to. Even some players who are locked up on their teams now that you don't think were talking to teams on these teams that quote unquote stayed together. A couple of those players we talked to, what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people that in those situations, and that's not like a sketch thing or like a bad thing. It's players at the end of their contract seeing like, hey, can I go get 500K somewhere? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just being obviously not that much, exaggerating a bit, but that's good for your brand. That's good for you as a pro player, bro. Is that kind of thing, is looking out there, seeing what's up, seeing like where you could go when you have the freedom to do so.
I see somebody saying, what about Cammy? Cammy was one that a lot of people wanted. Bro, Cammy, I'm gonna be honest, Cammy up. He re-signed. I know. He re-signed a contract. He re-signed his contract in the middle of the season. I think he re-signed to something new, and he was just locked up. I mean, Toronto's not getting rid of their superstar player. If anything, if that Toronto team wanted to change, I'm sure Cammy loves his team because they're a good player or a good team. If they wanted to change, I mean, they would build around Cammy probably, because of how good he is. So he was locked up, but a lot of people, OpTic wanted him.
I think it's public information because of that site.
So what I imagine went on here is the fact that OpTic kind of decided, all right, like, because Envoy said, I'm pretty sure that there was like a 95% chance. He was confident that there was like a 95% chance he would be staying on that team. But then once the merger went down, that's really where things started kicking off. So maybe they were considering keeping Scump and Envoy, taking Formal out of the picture, because Formal was, I think, underperforming this season, and like, he obviously moves into retirement anyway. Dashy moving to the main AR, which is probably more comfortable on anyway, and then bringing Cammy into the team. Like, that would have been a nasty squad. Like, Scump, Envoy, Cammy, and Dashy. Like, there's an awful lot of talent right there. Of course, what do I think about that potential squad compared to the current squad they have? If that is the squad with Scump, Dashy, Shotzi, and Lily instead, it's kind of tough to compare. I kind of like the OpTic Dallas one they're going for here. I kind of like the idea of making a couple of changes, switching up the SMG line a little bit. But yeah, OpTic Cammy was apparently in discussions. Now, what ended up happening, of course, it fell through, or at least, Toronto decided decided to re-sign him, because as Grayson says, Adam Adamu kind of explaining the situation, the pros were kind of describing as the fact that like Cammy re-signed the contract, and therefore like he was already locked into like a minimum salary or whatever. But it seems like they wanted to do right by their players, and as one of the Toronto Ultra top guys says over here, Cammy re-signed and extended with us as Ultra at the end of 2020 for 2 more years to the end of 2022. We didn't do this mid-year. Cammy re-signed and extended again at the end of 2021 to the end of 2023. So it seemed like he re-signed maybe his minimum deal or whatever it was at the end of 2020, and now like he's maybe changed that contract and upped that contract to some degree. Every other player on our squad re-signed a new contract at the end of 2021, all extended now to the end of 23. Hixie is new, he got a contract to end of 23 as well. We take care of our players. So it seems like kind of the rumors that were going around that Cammy like re-signed on a very low salary or whatever, and maybe not fully accurate. Like I think probably they re-signed into a decent deal. Then again, is he making as much money as he would on OpTic? That's another question. But of course he still wants to be on this squad with Bance, Insights and CleanX for now, because they were really good last year and have the potential to do so again if Cammy can keep up this level. But yes, OpTic Cammy apparently are in discussions, and we can see the likes of Dashir is pretty happy with his abilities, right? And this is even during the Modern Warfare season, let alone what he was able to do during Black Ops Cold War, where he kind of turned a lot of heads, let's just say. So much so that OpTic were considering his services before maybe the merger started to go through, and then they realized, okay, that wasn't really going to happen, and Cammy probably going to stay on Toronto regardless. But if you get the option to join OpTic, it's pretty hard to turn something like that down. Just to finish off with a couple of things, firstly here from the subliners, this season Crimsix is not holding back during content shoots. He's this guy's just incredibly entertaining. Every single time he puts his face on the camera, he's he just cracks me up. And not particularly happy with World Super in this clip right here. But also just to finish off with this that he said on the flank last night, when there was kind of some discussions about, okay, who's your favorite ex-teammate that you've ever teamed with? Clayster goes through like the whole teammates that he's played with. Okay, yeah, I miss this guy. It was a good time playing with him. But Crimsix certainly doesn't have that attitude. His attack mode is fully on it from the second he wakes up in the morning. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting the like button helps the YouTube gods know this is a good video. Others like you should see it as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
Who's your favorite teammate?
That's a stupid question. After I'm done teaming with people, you're the enemy. You know?
Oh, okay, so you don't like anybody.
That was the opposite of it.
Okay, so you hate everybody. No, you have bad blood with every single team you no longer team with. That's why.
We're boxing in. What about players that are retired? So